So I got a chance to hear the Ascendo speakers, right? Multiple different times. I went to Audio Device Live 2025, and they had the Ascendo speakers paired with the Trenoff Altitude 32. Y'all won't believe this, right? So, and this is like right after I got finished listening to JTR, like Jeff speakers, right? And let me show you guys the speakers that I was actually listening to from JTR before we kind of get into this. So these are the speakers I was listening to from JTR, right? And I will say those were amazing. And these subwoofers are only like I think he was saying something like 12-inch subwoofer drivers that are in there, but they were monsters, like monsters. Like I felt like, you know, they just filled up the room. They pressurized the room very good. The bass notes were really good. He allowed us to play a lot of different music, like but he asked me what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear a song called "Put On" by Jeezy, and it's got very low bass sweeps, and he did that, and these speakers like kept up with it, like the subwoofer kept up with it. And I was just very amazed what how big the sound was from these small 12-inch drivers. And I got like dual PP4000 subwoofers in my house, you know, and you know, with steel subwoofers you're going to benefit from room gain and things like that, but I felt like they were amazing, you know. And I asked him, I'm like, you know, it made me wonder, like, are the RS1s like better than this? And he said that I think the RS1s are like twice this. So if that's the case, because you know RS1s are 18-inch subwoofers, but if that's the case, like I don't know if he meant by volume of the cabinet or if he meant by sound, but it sounded like he meant like sound. It's like twice the impact and everything from these. I just can only imagine what the RS1s can do. But I ended up moving from there, and then I listened to the Ascendos, right? It was in the room with the Trenoff next to the Anthem room, and they had a bunch of Ascendo speakers, just every variety you can think of, like for that particular series. And they had a big huge subwoofer in there, and they had tons of subs everywhere because I think they were running waveforming with the Altitude 32. They did that so that, you know, you get even seat to seat distribution of bass and you don't really feel any noise in the room, and it also helps to prevent standing wave issues before they ever happen. You know, so that's the thing with waveforming. But as far as the demo with the Ascendo speakers, I heard they ran 13 hours on the Kaleidoscape, which sounded like very good with the Ascendo speakers in the Trenoff. They ran A Star Is Born. Everybody plays that. I don't know why it's annoying. Everybody plays that. But they did that. The Ascendo speakers sounded really good, really revealing. You can hear when Lady Gaga would press the piano key, you can hear like the ivory moving like up and down. So that was cool. You know, a lot of that's the processor, and the speakers were able to like reveal that too. So that was cool, right? They played Spider-Man, I think No Way Home, and that's when Mysterio, like the voices are around him in that scene, around Spider-Man in that scene, and him and Mysterio having an issue. That was very good. You know what I mean? Very good. So overall, and then after I listened to the Ascendos, I went into a room and listened to some Paradigm speakers, and you know, obviously Paradigms would be way more revealing, and they had like a Anthem hooked up to them. But then we went back and we listened to the Ascendos again, and the Ascendos were like, I preferred the Ascendos over the Paradigm speakers because they were not as bright sounding, right? Not as fatiguing sounding like as those Paradigm speakers. Some people like Paradigms. I don't know. I just think the Paradigms are fatiguing to me. Very revealing, but very fatiguing. As far as the Ascendos versus Jeff's JTR speakers, personally, and this is me being like 100% real with y'all, these Kalos 465s that he had in that room, Jeff had in the JTR room, I feel like may have been better, right? But I mean, I know the bass was like way better than a Ascendo room, even though they had all them subs. But you know, like when they're running waveforming, only like maybe the front subs may really be active, and the rear subs are really canceling out the waves and stuff like that. So you really want to use your more powerful subs up front. I think the Trenoff, the way they utilized the Ascendo speakers, everything, it was balanced okay. But like when I went into the room JTR before I went into the Ascendo room, like these were impressive. Like just the left and right speakers were very good. And I think you like hang these on the wall or something next to your TV. These are really good, you know, and the bass obviously from the subwoofers is really good. But I felt like Jeff speakers a little bit better. But you know what's funny? So when I got outside of the Ascendo room, and you know they had a bunch of Ascendo speakers, and the guy from Ascendo was there, and I was like, because he had dual 18-inch drivers, like subwoofers or whatever that was outside, and I was like, do these sound as better or as good as the JTRs? And he's like, well, we make all of our parts in the house, and we don't just like get parts from other manufacturers and jimmy rig things and put them together. Like he was talking about Jeff JTR company. I was like, me and my girls looking like, what? And normally, like, if this was been in the street, your boy would have been getting wild. But you know what I'm saying? But you know, it's like a theater convention. He's an older guy, so you know, and I know that this is like his company because the guy was like, "Oh, this is a dude from Ascendo," but he was like very aggravated that Jeff's speakers were even mentioned. And because, you know, people in the home theater community, they look at JTR as in-game speakers. And I think a lot of that is a lot of influencers, you know what I'm saying, are telling you that, right? And so we don't know because we haven't really heard the JTRs, like the RS1s and the RS2s. I haven't heard those. So I can't tell you if they're like really the in-game speaker, right? But I heard the subwoofer that goes along with this thing, right? And this was like amazing, like Jeff's speaker, like this subwoofer is amazing compared to a lot. Like I said, I have PP4000s. Mine, I feel like pressurized my room really good. These were just, Jeff's were amazing. Ascendo room, it was just okay. You know, even though he had like these huge subwoofers, it was just okay. Maybe they balanced it like that, right? It was just okay. I heard another Ascendo room at CDA 2025, right? And the Ascendo speakers were paired with a Storm audio processor. So I got the chance to hear how they would react with a Storm audio processor. And in my opinion, like they didn't sound that great with the Storm audio processor, but then again, it could be the processor or how they tweaked it or tuned it, you know, or calibrated it, right? And maybe the Trenoff did a better job than the Storm audio. Maybe they spent a little bit more time calibrated than they did with Storm audio. Storm audio room looked better with the Ascendos in it because they had them everywhere. But the Trenoff sounded better than the Storm audio. In terms of processing, you know what I mean, and conveying whatever they're trying to get out, the sound audio wise to the speakers were able to do really well with the Trenoff versus the Storm audio. So I mean, I don't know. The Ascendos were cool the first time I heard them. Second time, not so much, but I would say the Storm audio processor, even though I know it's in game, everybody says it's like one of the best. I've heard a lot of Storm audio processors, and you know, I've heard some Storm setups that sound really good, and that was just one that just was okay. It wasn't anything great, you know what I mean? But I don't know if that was the Ascendo or the processor at that point, or how it was calibrated. First time I heard it, it sounded really good. The Ascendos sound really good. Would I buy them? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? Because with the price point, the Ascendos are really expensive. You know, the JTRs are not cheap. They're expensive as well, you know, but Ascendos are really expensive. The look of the Ascendos, I think, will be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to some people, even though they still have an industrial look to me. I think people they look at the Ascendos and they would say, you know what I mean? Like they may be less industrial. They're still industrial, but less industrial. But then like these. Let me show you these. These are like industrial. This is raw, like unscripted, like raw, right? Like there's nothing really glamorous about these. You see what I'm saying? And Ascendo's got speakers that look like these Noesis 110s. Like look just as industrial. But like this is just like raw, right? Whereas the Ascendo, let me see if I can pull up something. The Ascendo speakers are not my cup of tea, but they're a little, some would probably think they look a little more premium, you know, just because I don't know. but I don't think they're attractive either. I don't think they're attractive speakers either. I think they're expensive and they're not attractive. But just hearing speakers, I think Jeff speakers sound better than those. And maybe Jeff is kind of like giving these people a problem. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the home theater community as a whole, like because he's able to create big immersive sound from smaller speakers, without all of that, marketing and everything else that everybody has to do, and people still hail them as like one of the best. I don't know. But the guy at Ascendo, he was very taken back that I even mentioned JTR. But I mean, I thought JTR sounded better than those Ascendos, in my opinion. So I would be interested to hear what the home theater, like the Noesis 210 RMs or like the 212 HTRs. I want to hear what they sound like. You know what I'm saying? Or the 215 RMs. I want to hear those. But after listening to that, to Jeff's JTRs, I really want this Captivator RS1. Like y'all don't understand. Even though it's $3,600, I know that's crazy for a subwoofer. But then you got to think the PB. I mean, even though it's ported, the SVS PB17, I heard was, it's like $3,000. So if this thing is like, and those are 17-inch, this is 18-inch, and this is sealed, and it can go lower than the PB17s. I don't know. If I ever upgrade, I'm really thinking about these RS1s after hearing Jeff speakers. Like I want to hear, I try not to just buy things if I haven't heard them, but Jeff speakers really impressed me, like for real, like no lie. You home theater enthusiasts, like you hear something, if you really like something, you're like, wow, like, you know what I mean? But like, I felt that like with Jeff speakers, that makes me really want to consider these RS1s because I felt like a kid again. And those are like 12-inch subwoofers. He had dual 12-inch subwoofers in that room. And I was just amazed with how controlled they were and how grand of a sound it was. So I don't know. But Ascendo versus JTRs, probably go JTR. Even though I haven't heard the other ones, I'd probably go JTR. Just from what I heard, those are the small speakers, and they can do that. I'd probably go JTR. And looks-wise, honestly, I think the RS2s look better than anything Ascendo has. My personal opinion. And these RS1s don't look bad. The Captivators, I know they're beasts. I can't get with the look of those. I do like the way the ULF 4000 looks, but I know it's way too big for my room. But I don't know. I'll probably go with JTR. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Have you heard the Ascendo speakers? Have you heard the JTR speakers? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm out. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about that. Peace.